All right, everybody. So this is the web news, and this isn't going to be, the news about the AWS outage. We know that there was a huge outage. What we want to talk about is sort of the fallout and sort of the analysis, I think, that should kind of come from this. So if you don't know, very, very briefly, I'm not going to get into all the details. AWS had a huge outage, a lot of sites, a lot of apps, a lot of services, and even some beds, some smart beds were affected like detrimentally. And this is because everything is either relies on the internet and more specifically relies on AWS. But we're going to get into what I mean by the internet and all that in a second here, because I have a comparison. So here in Canada, we have a telecom company named Rogers, and Rogers is very big. We have like two or three big telecom companies. We got TELUS, we got Rogers, we got Bell. I want to say that's it. Maybe there's another one somewhere. Shaw, but they were bought by Rogers. Whole mess. Doesn't matter. Point is, Rogers is very big. Rogers had a huge outage. Big outage. As far as I understand it, you couldn't even dial 911 on your cell phone. I believe their home internet was down. Whole pack. Again, not preaching the news, just giving a general impression. Because what I want to talk about today, and what Mike also wants to talk about today, is the reliance on online services, piping everything through the internet for no apparent reason. So, for example, I just want to take an example. This is not a real example, although maybe it exists somewhere. Think about this. Like your car. You want to unlock the doors in your car. There's a way to do that. You have little motors, actuators, whatever. You have a little wireless transmitter, and you can like click the unlock button on your like key fob in an early car, right? And you can like a car, say 10 years old or something, and you could open up your doors. Now, maybe that's still how it works. However, in today's day and age, maybe it doesn't. We have the option of literally relaying that signal like through a data center, blah, 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 all this obfuscation just to unlock your doors. So the local ICs, the local integrated circuits, the local computer, the local logic has no kind of autonomy. It has to talk to the almost like the big brother, which is the internet. And so this is really like the result of this is what we're seeing is like, I'm not pro like trying to have 100% uptime. Like that'd be great, but I understand the realities as someone who works in the field. I'm not like, yelling and screaming about this. What I am kind of advocating for, at least in this episode, and Mike, you can kind of like give your opinion as well, is like, I think we need to start like reevaluating piping everything through like either the internet in general or just one service. Like we're starting to rely too much. Like I'll give an example. I have a friend who bought a car and he only has a fob to get in. There's not even an emergency key that comes with it. At least that's what he's told. That's what he told me. I haven't investigated this. His battery dies in that fob, it's over. And it's like, we need to have redundancies. And that sounds, it's like it's unrelated to AWS, but it's like, it isn't. It's the same thing. Like you're relying like fully on this one fob and this one battery. You're not relying on any mechanics. There's no failover. There's no redundancy. There's no fault. It's one system, and that's it. And honestly, I blame this. This will be my last comment until I let Mike talk. I blame this on move fast and break things. I fully blame that mentality on this.
I think it's a mix of move fast and break things and keep it simple, stupid. I think that we've gone too far down that path as well, where like, hey, we don't want to give customers the choice. Let's not add this complexity of a key. It's just a fob.
Right.
Right. And then that propagates into a million different things, right? Like where it's like, hey, let's not, there's this bed that connects to the internet. Let's not even give customers the opportunity to have buttons on the bed to be able to, use it without the internet. Right. So like, I think that's the perspective that a lot of people are taking. And part of that on the bed side, let's talk about the bed a little bit. So this is 8 sleep, I think. The argument there that people are making anti 8 sleep is that you just want constant data connection so that you can gather as much data as you can and sell that data for whatever, or do something with that data for profit. That might be the case. I'm not 100% sure. I think part of it is that maybe, or part of it is just like simplicity from their perspective. Like they don't need to engineer buttons, they don't need to engineer an entire UX profile, they don't need to make separate, you know, interfaces for connecting via buttons versus internet. They just have to maintain one thing, right? And it works. It's fine. You know, it works most of the time. But when it doesn't work, you have situations like this where
Yeah.
your bed will wake you up because it disconnects from the internet because it heats up for whatever reason. I don't know what the reason is, why it would default to heating up when it doesn't detect a signal from the internet. Like, it doesn't make any sense to me, but that's what they programmed in, whether accidentally or not. That's the case, and you cannot stop it from doing that unless you unplug the bed, in which case it becomes just not a smart bed, it becomes a dead bed.
It becomes a dead bed.
Dead bed, yeah, like it becomes the bed that I have back here, which is like just a bed. So there's a lot to be said about having fallbacks. I personally, when I engineer systems like that require, for example, microservices, my concept is that if a microservice goes down, it shouldn't affect the rest of the system other than not being able to use that one microservice.
Like the core.
Yeah, exactly. So whenever you have the core, that should be on its own thing. It should have redundancies on its own. Anything connected to that core should not affect the separate core when it goes down. Yes, like for example, if you have notifications coming from a microservice, if the notifications microservice is down, you're not going to get notifications, but everything else is going to work. And
Right.
that's how I like to engineer things, and that's how I like to use things. Like in a car perspective, if my battery dies, I want to still be able to open the door in a simple way. Like I just want to be able to pull the, you know, the lever, the mechanical lever to open the door. Like it doesn't make sense to me why there's this battery operated thing in the door that makes it so that I can't open it if the battery, like, I don't like that personally. I think it's from a, again, keep it simple, stupid approach, and the combination of what you said, Matt, right?
The move fast and break
The move
things.
fast and break things, just like get stuff done as quickly as possible and not have to maintain two systems essentially. But I don't like where this is going. I don't like the centralization of things. That's a whole other topic that I don't know if we want to get fully into in this episode. But the fact that so many services went down when not AWS, this wasn't a full AWS outage. This was a region in AWS, one of, I think, like 50 or 40 regions. One region, US East 1, went down, took down all of GoDaddy, all of HBO Max, all of Amazon, or most of Amazon, I should say, Adobe, Coinbase, Duolingo, Epic Game Store, Steam, Fortnite, McDonald's app, Lyft. Like, how are we in a place where one service can go down in one provider and it literally takes down the core of the internet? I can say that confidently. This is the core. Like, this is what people use mostly. Reddit was on there. Outlook. Why is Office 365? How is Office 365 affected by goddamn AWS? How?
Especially
What
when
do
they
they
have
do?
Azure. Like,
yeah, they have their own infrastructure. What is happening right now? It's nuts. Like, this is,
I don't even know how to fix it because the promise of cloud computing is bringing it up into the cloud. Obviously, Amazon has done their marketing, and so like I understand that, you know, I don't know who's at fault. You can blame Amazon, you can blame a random engineer, you can blame whatever. I haven't looked into that. Again, this is not the news show. The point is like something happened, whatever it was, and it took all this down. But I'm not going to blame Amazon for having centralized everything because in a way, it's like they're selling this service and like they have multiple regions, and by having multiple regions, some of those things on AWS clearly did not go down. There were definitely people out there on AWS to some extent that were not affected. So it's
absolutely.
like, so then you have to think, okay, maybe we need to have an Amazon and an Azure account, and we need to have both. So then you're just going to double your server cost potentially. Like, is that what's going to happen? Or maybe we need to load balance. Like, you see what I mean? Like, the complexity starts going up. And so that's why I'm not pro 100% uptime. Like, I understand the striving and I get it. I get it. Totally understand it. But I like your approach, Mike, where you're like the microservices. where it's like, this thing might affect this notification part, but you're still going to be able to log in and like whatever, view your charts or whatever the heck you're doing. That makes sense to me. Like that's like smarter design. It's like with the car door. It's like, I get that you're trying to, I don't know, track me how many times I open the door, or maybe you're trying to, which is ridiculous, but still, or maybe you're trying to make it easier for me to open the door. Actually, I got a prime example in a car and this isn't with the internet, but the at least in cars of my age, we have a power steering pump, and the power steering can fail, but you can still steer the freaking car. It's not easy. So the power steering pump makes it easier to turn the car. It makes it easier to maneuver the vehicle. But all of a sudden, the wheels don't just like pop off, and it's like that's it. And so you're just driving, and it's like, oh, this pump failed, and the car just like doesn't like stops working. It's like what? Like what the heck? That's an example of like smart design where it's like if this steering pump goes, they're gonna need to get to a garage. So like you better, for safety and also for convenience of getting to the garage, you can drive the car without the power steering. I don't know if that's the case with modern cars. I assume it is. But the point is like
not all. Like
likely,
the Cybertruck, for example, has flyby wheels like steering, which means that if the computer system goes down, you can't steer the car.
Like, isn't that crazy to like it's and you make a good point. Like I'm blaming the move fast and break things. I still blame that. However, it could be that keep it simple thing. It could also be mismanagement where people are getting things done barely. Here's the thing. You get a steering system up, you get anything up, you get a feature done, right? Here's my feature. Here's my feature, boss. I've developed a feature for you. Great. On to the next one. He doesn't want you hanging around trying to, put in a redundant system for that feature. That feature's done. Moving on to the next thing, man. We got competitors to beat. We got money to make. We got subscriptions to add value to have people buy more. And so that, and that's also part of the move fast and break things. At the end of the day here, I think this is, really humans, once again, being not proactive. We're not looking at things and being like, hey, things need to work sometimes. It's inconvenient that my doorbell, camera isn't working right now, but like, shouldn't the dinger still work? We got cars selling subscriptions to heated seats. Yeah. And so you could, I'm adding to my own list here. It's like, is this a capitalism thing? I mean, that one is, but like, you know what I mean? Overall, is this like, let's move everybody to the services and then we'll chart, and then it's like this, it's conspiracy? Is it real? I don't know, but we're seeing the problems when something goes wrong. And I feel like we humans act like nothing's ever it'll be fine. Is it? If my $2,000 bed broke, it's not okay. I'm going to be very freaking angry. That thing should go right in offline mode. Sorry. Fair enough. It's an inconvenience. It's not a $2,000 bill. And yes, a $2,000 bill is still an inconvenience. I know some people will be like, yeah, but it's just $2,000. Yeah, but like, do you really want to deal with that? And for what reason?
Yeah, I mean, the bed, it's not like the bed didn't break. It just malfunctioned in the sense of like heating up. I think what my anger would be at, like, why didn't you keep the settings that I had set initially? Like, have that be the default, right? Like, if no connection, whatever was set last, keep that connect. Like, I feel like they went out of their way to do this the wrong way. Like, it seems easier to keep the same default anyway. Like that's a whole other discussion.
Or it could be that they move fast and they didn't think of it, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh my god, AWS is, and yeah, they didn't break, but I'm just saying, like, if it broke, like, it's possible that things like this could break. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, what if the timer for let's just say the heater, and this is not what happened, but like, let's just say the heater is only supposed to run for 15 minutes, and that timer is kept on AWS. Fantastic. So now what? Does it just run forever and burn out the heater?
Like, I mean, it could be dangerous too. Like, there could be safety concerns and stuff like that if that goes down. But there weren't. But
how many things like that we have that are smart connected that aren't beds that really could be a problem?
Plenty of things. Cars being probably the worst, the most dangerous out of them, I think. So that's the best analogy. I do believe that, like, there is a mix of causality and reasons. I firmly believe that this is a capitalist issue, not from a like conspiracy, but from the system working as intended. We do the capitalist approach is we do the minimum amount to get the most profit, and we can't go a step beyond that, because if we do, then that's eating into that profit, right? Like when you become a public company, everything that you do has to be feeding into the shareholders' profits.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
adding
yeah,
in
yeah.
one extra step, one extra fallback, one extra thing that's not 1000% required is immediately hitting at the profit of the shareholders, which is the real people that are controlling that company, right? Like the shareholders, the board, those are the people controlling the company. The CEO really just a figurehead for the most part of the board, and their only purpose is to generate more income. That's it. And so I think this is a non-conspiratory but a natural progression of capitalistic tendencies, because we see the progression as it goes, right? Like we see what happened with services, like where we were paying for one-time license fees for a long time. Then all of a sudden, someone figured out that, hey, people are willing to pay monthly fees.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone, and I mean everyone, switched to a monthly fee model. Now they're trying to justify it by saying, we're continually updating it. We have servers that we have to pay for on a continuous basis. Okay, they're trying to justify it, but that doesn't stop the fact that they decided to do that shift because it's more profitable,
Yep.
right? And so they'll never go back. That's what you see, is that the shift that happens that leads to more profits never reverts to less profits because of the capitalistic approach. So and again, I'm not sitting here saying that capitalism bad. I don't have an answer for what's better than capitalism.
Right.
Capitalism has worked so far, right? Like we are in kind of a better state than we were, a couple hundred years ago. So you can't say that it's the worst system ever, because there's proof that there's worse systems out there. Is it the best system? Probably not, but it's the only system so far that's worked at scale at where we're at. So, but having said that, like we need to adapt to the system to be able to have constraints on it. That's where the government's supposed to step in and give some sort of boundaries to it. Now, there's a lot of anti-government people that are like, don't let the government step in, which is fair, because a lot of times they step in and they're very heavy-handed, or they do the wrong approach, or they don't have the expertise to provide the right constraints, and that's constantly the problem. But a good constraint from the government in this case would be, hey, your bed has to work as intended without an internet connection. Like, I would like that to be a thing. Or for cars specifically, I would love them to say, hey, all core systems, including steering, braking, doors opening and closing, all have to be working without any sort of internet connection or electronics. If the electronics go down, and working can be that, hey, there's no hydraulics, sure. As long as you can turn and get off the highway and stop, that's, to me, is considered working.
It
There
can
should
be a
be,
reduced experience.
correct. It's perfectly fine, but there has to be core functionality that's available. And I think like that's the only thing that could save us in this particular case. And same with going back to the AWS discussion, certain critical systems maybe have to be required to be redundant,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like if you have a system that, assigns people, daily, I don't even know what a critical system online would be, like hospital booking systems. I'm trying to think like what it
Well,
really is a
medical,
critical,
anything
maybe
that
medical, yeah.
medical that calls home or something, like it has to
Maybe,
call it
yeah.
to the internet or whatever.
Yeah, sure. Like
Like a
let's say
heart
medical
monitor for some
systems.
reason, which God knows why you'd want that, but
Yeah. Maybe banking systems or something, like you'd be able to transfer and withdraw money. Those kinds of systems need to be mandated to have critical redundancy functionality, so that if AWS, one of the instances of AWS goes down, it can switch to another one, or switch to, like, maybe you have to mandate them to use two different providers, like AWS and Azure, or AWS and Google, and that'll
I was going to
benefit
say they're going to
competition.
utility company them, where
Yeah.
they're like, you have to help each other.
Yeah, exactly. You have to help each other. So like that could, provide more competition, better integrations between the providers, easier usage. So like there are ways to handle this. I don't know if they're any good, because again, I do think that the government typically does the wrong approach, but that's the only way I see it working in the current capitalistic system, which again, there's no other alternative.
Honestly, I think like my closing thought is like like we don't have the answers. Mike and I don't have the answers.
No.
We just know that these conversations have to happen. And people that are in it, people that are like super smart with infrastructure, through all the way down to the consumer, you know, we need to have these conversations because we are building a big old like centralized potential disaster. You know, it's one thing for a couple small e-commerce websites to go down. It sucks. You know, there's lost money. I understand. It's another thing for like serious medical systems or serious infrastructure systems or, you know, car doors and, you know, serious things like that, you know, to no longer function. And we need to start having the conversation not only in the functionality we're offering up to the cloud, but also do we need to connect everything to the cloud? And if we do, you know, what's considered critical, what isn't? We need to start having, I think, those conversations.
Absolutely.
But I think that's it. That is the web news. Let us know your thoughts in the comments, please, because like this is just a big old conversation, and we want as many topics, conversations. If you think you know what we said is dumb, let us know. If you think it's great, let us know. If you think it's kind of let us know. And that's it. This is the web news. Farewell.
Bye.